coronavirus disease 2019, famously called as COVID-19, has been around since the early 2020. WHO declared COVID-19 as a global health emergency since then. It is a deadly disease that is caused by a virus that can easily be spread by close contact of two or more people, whether by respiratory droplets or even touch. Currently, the vaccine is being distributed around. However, it will take a while for everyone to get access to the vaccination itself. The government of every country have implemented a lot of rules and regulations towards their citizens, and those who go against these rules or regulations will be fined or even jailed. This is for the sake of the community itself, since one bad apple can spoil the barrel, So the government also acted on the crisis with many incentives to help the livelihood of the citizen. On the other hand, some government also executed the bare minimum of what they can help and can do towards their citizen. This also applies to countries in Southeast Asia. ASEAN is a regional grouping that promotes economic, political, and security cooperation amongst its 11 members, which is Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. This presentation will be focusing more on these 11 states' crisis response against COVID-19.
Okay, for the first Asian country, that is Brunei Darussalam, the first instruction of Brunei government is they had restricted their entrance into the country. This can be seen when the Royal Brunei Airlines reduced their flight to Beijing and Hong Kong and halted their flight to some China state. Second action is the Ministry of Health Brunei had declared a safe isolation order to any individuals coming from abroad, and this includes the Bruneians. Third action is strictly prohibited and to any activities involving the exit from the Sultanate of Brunei, whether the individual is a citizen of Brunei or not. Another action is the Brunei government announced that they provide relief action as a step in supporting various micro and small and medium enterprises and individuals that are affected by the pandemic. This is called as economic relief package. Another action is the Brunei Health Ministry perform information campaign to guide and inform the society regarding the issue of COVID-19 by creating the government website and provide an application that called Bru Health or stand for Brunei Health that provide related policy, health monitor and risk tracking. Not just that, but the Brunei Health and Religious Affairs Ministry also regulate all religious places in Sultanate Brunei closed and runs recognizing in several of them. That's all for Brunei. Next country is Cambodia. The Cambodia government reaction is by releasing a national action plan, and second action is by closing their boundary and restriction towards the individual from abroad. The restriction includes suspend visa for all foreigners for 1 month and any foreigner entry. The country must provide a medical certificate and holds medical coverage at least $50,000. The third action is the government commence lockdown towards their residents, and that's including closing the education institution, garment factories, and major public holiday were cancelled. Another reaction is Cambodia government closed their boundary, except the border with Thailand, with a strict condition. The government also regulated that any exploitation of rice halted from 6 April to ensuring the nation food during the pandemic. Other than that, for the economic side, the government provide $70 a month for the individual that affected with the factory operation. Besides that, the Cambodia government active the Contingent Emergency Response Component (CERC) to allocate the finance activity that have been decided in National Action Plan. That's all for Cambodia. Next, move on to Myanmar. The first reaction of Myanmar is the President of Myanmar announced the establishment of select committee to prevent the spreading of COVID-19 in the society. Second is the Myanmar government suspend the Chinese visa that arrived during the pandemic outbreak, especially to those who have a symptom of COVID-19. Besides that, due to the outbreak, the government evacuated their students that were stranded in Wuhan to ensure their safety. third reaction is the Myanmar government made a restriction towards the individuals from abroad, especially towards the traveler from China, South Korea, and Europe, by suspending any foreigners' entrance and stop issuing visa. Fourth reaction is an obligation towards individuals that visit to United States, Switzerland, United Kingdom, Netherlands, Austria, Belgium, Norway, and Denmark to be quarantined at a quarantine facility that has been provided. Another action is the Myanmar government regulate that any foreigners that arrive in Myanmar must present their medical certificate before boarding their flight to reduce the risk that exposed in the society. Other than that, the government also announced that movement control by closing the education institution and others premise. Next Asian country is Timor-Leste. Although the Timor-Leste is a developing country with a weak health system, they are moving fast in preventing of COVID-19. In early February, the government of Timor-Leste did a restriction for foreigners that had past travel in China, especially in the city of Hubei, because of the outbreak that happens in Wuhan, and require a valid medical certificate to enter the country. Second action is the government taking back their students that study in Wuhan to ensure their safety. The third action is on 19 March, Timor-Leste closed their border, started with the border with Indonesia, and follow with the declaring a state of emergency on the end of the March. However, like other countries, the implement of lockdown, Timor-Leste faced the economic problem. So the Timor-Leste economic report a special focus with essential reserve to promote economic growth while maintaining a macroeconomic stability, and the government renew economic strategies to contribute the rising private capital and increasing productivity are needed to accelerate the economic growth. That's all for Brunei, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Timor-Leste in preventing the COVID-19. Let's move on to Indonesia by SYARFA.
So I'm gonna continue my part. First of all, I would like to talk about Indonesia. Badan Nasional Penanggulan Bencana (BNPB) has declared an emergency from 29 February until 29 May 2020. This institution was established to organize the prevention of disaster in Indonesia. The authority also acts to guarantee the rights of people that are affected by COVID-19. The government has taken an action in the quarantine period to guarantee the sustainability of people's life and the stability of the economy. In Article 5, Law Number 6, 2018, has stated that throughout the quarantine, the authority required to complete the necessity of people. According to Joko Widodo, the President of Indonesia, called on people to cooperate to follow the SOPs because he believes it is the main key to prevent the spread of COVID-19. He stated that Indonesia has shown the low quality of discipline in traveling restriction. Other than that, the government also wants to mobilize the volunteers in handling the spread of COVID-19. The volunteer will help the authority in increasing the awareness about the pandemic. Next, we move to Laos. The government has accomplished work from home and only several agencies have to work as usual, such as police, health officer, and many more. The government has forbid people to go outside and to organize events. Any entertainment also have to close due to the pandemic. Another initiative is the stranded student in Wuhan will get subsidies as their pocket money to survive there. Since the relationship between the Laos and the China is good, China has sent COVID-19 test kit and necessity of safety. Not only that, Laos also received medical expertise from China to help them cure the situation. The endeavor from the government is reducing and delay the tax payment, customs, and administrative payment. The government also reduced the basic interest from bank, and the upcoming plan is to reduce the tax value upward the utility of electricity and water. Okay, next let's dive in Philippines. President of Philippines, President Rodrigo Duterte, released Proclamation Number 922 on 9 March 2020, an official statement of an emergency for every Philippines up to 6 months long. The authority also got a command to use local disaster risk management fund. President Duterte also has signed an administrative order to give a daily emergency salary and extra provision special risk to the frontliners. Philippines has launched several plans to help people continue their life in this pandemic. A rising social program has launched to give aid from cash aspect. This program helped by the Social Welfare Department and Development, which is an agency of the Philippines government's emergency subsidy program called Social Amelioration Program. The target is to give an aid cost 96.7 billion for 17.1 million household. The Vice President Leni Robredo received $564,551 for buying 64,367 sets of personal protective equipment (PPE) to donate to the frontliners. Robredo also collaborate with fashion designer Mitch Dulce to produce PPE massively. Furthermore, the government also accomplished a mass examination by build a mega swab center with a lot of facilities. I will continue my presentation to next country, which is Malaysia. Malaysia has declared Movement Control Order (MCO) right after the cases rising up. Mostly people cannot go anywhere, including go to the work. After the cases has stabilized, the government changed to the Conditional Movement Control Order (CMCO) because the government want to run the economy of the country. People can go out to work but with some terms and conditions. After that, it continued with Recovery Movement Control Order (RMCO). People are allowing to go anywhere in Malaysia, including Sabah and Sarawak. The gathering are also allowed with less than 20 people only. The government also built an application called My SYAHIRA to scan the location of everyone. The apps also will help to detect the cases around their radius. For the bank approved a loan for up to 6 months. Around 4 million households receive more than 1,600 ringgit. Not only the welfare for the employee, but the government also provide tents and cubicle for tramp and foreigner who are trapped in Malaysia. People who return from overseas were given a hotel room to isolate themselves for 14 days before go back home. To tighten the condition, the government will summon 1,000 ringgit for those who are not wearing face masks just to make people follow the SOPs and to be more disciplined.
As for Singapore, on 18 February 2020, Singapore's Minister of Finance disclosed a 4 billion Singapore dollar stabilisation and support package consists of range measures to subside the blow of COVID-19, and the next budget, which is called Resilience Budget, on 26 March of 2020. As the COVID-19 outbreak worsened, they accumulated 48.4 billion Singapore dollar in order to support households, help workers stay employed, and provide support for businesses. The third one is Solidarity Budget on 6 April 2020. This is the third stimulus package, and it's worth 5.1 billion Singapore dollar, and this time is to cushion the impact of circuit breaker on the local workforce and livelihoods of the country's workers. And the fourth one is Fortitude Budget on 26 May 2020, a fourth stimulus package worth 33 billion Singapore dollar with three focuses: creating job and building skills for workers, boosting transformation for enterprise, and strengthening resilience for the community. So as you can see, Singapore is more focuses on the workers and the economy. As for Thailand, about 400 billion baht consisting of soft loans worth 150 billion baht, debt payments extension, tax benefits, including reducing withholding taxes, was unveiled on 10th March 2020, providing support for households, including reducing and delaying utility bills. A second phase package could be introduced if the slowdown continues. Some measures are employment-related, economic stimulus measures, custom measures, and measures to ease the lockdown. Other measures and sources include easing the lockdown, a custom exemption, and tax and fee measure for debt restructuring participants. Vietnam strives to assist struggling companies during COVID-19 using tax breaks, delayed tax payments, and reduction in land lease fees that totals up to $1.16 billion. Credit support is also implemented, and that includes measures such as debt restricting and preferential interest rates. A fiscal package is also implemented, and both of these implementation totals up to $12 billion. Many measures have been put into effect. Tax measures that include payment deferrals and rate reductions, employment-related measures that include states compensation scheme and training, and economic stimulus measures that include loans and moratorium of debt payments. The government of Vietnam has also executed custom measures like some restriction on exportation of masks, custom duties that exempt some goods items from import tax, and textile businesses have started to produce antibacterial masks after the authority announced the need of 10 billion of those daily. The government of each Asian states have been implementing various crisis responses to help themselves and their citizens bear through this trying time. COVID-19 has halted a lot, including countries' growth, whether it is in politics, economy, or technological development. Many industries have been massively affected in a negative way, although some governments fail to even give their bare minimum to help and do their job properly towards the country's citizen. At the end of the day, the citizens are all there to help each other, because we are all human going through a significant time that of the massive deathly pandemic. The status quo in the society shows how privileged some people can be, walking around, not following SOP, and not getting a repercussion for endangering other people around them. Simultaneously, the commoners out there getting falsely fined for something barely even considered against the SOP. Crisis responses from each country can show how much they care about their own citizens, even though that is their duty of the government to take care of their citizens. We all have to look for each other, because it is as clear as the day that while we are going through this pandemic that has left thousands and thousands of people out of their job and livelihood, the government can't do like 100% towards us. We have to have ourselves, we have to help ourselves and help people around us. #kita jaga kita.